everybody's favorite time of the month again, where I use my TBR jar to help me choose my monthly TBR, this time for the month of May. If you're new here, hi, I'm Katie. I post a lot of bookish and hobby content here on YouTube, and if you are a returning viewer, welcome back. I have so many lovely books on my TBR cart right behind me to choose from today, but I actually have two more to add, and that is thanks to today's kind sponsor, Book of the Month. Book of the Month is a monthly subscription service for readers that just turned 100 years old. So since 1926, Book of the Month has been trusted by readers to bring forth new and emerging authors. So instead of having to do the research and seek out what you want to read next, every month you get to choose from a carefully selected short list of books so that you can just focus on actually reading. If the selections for that month don't catch your eye, you can skip that month free of charge, and they also offer a loyalty program, free shipping, and their reader's guarantee. So if you purchase a book and you didn't like it, Book of the Month will replace the book free of charge in your next box. The first book I chose for the month of May is Good Joy, Bad Joy by Mickey Brammer. This is following a woman in her 80s named Joy, and her best friend just received some terminal medical news. Joy is a very by-the-book kind of person, but through this diagnosis, she starts to break her own rules, and it's supposed to be very funny, witty, and charming. I assume that there's going to be great themes of female friendship in here. And the other book I chose was The Burning Side by Sarah DeMoff. I am so excited to read this. I've heard nothing but amazing things about this book from people who got advanced reader copies. This is about a couple named April and Leo whose marriage is on the verge of collapse, and when tragedy strikes, they're forced to actually confront what's going on with their relationship. I cannot wait to read this one. On screen right now, I'll have the other great options that you could choose from for the month of May as well. And because Book of the Month is amazing and you're obviously interested in joining, you can use the link down below in my description to get your first hardcover book for only $5 using the code FLORAL, as well as a free gift with purchase, this little tote bag. Are you joking me? This is adorable. If you guys have Book of the Month, let me know what your May picks were in the comments down below, and thank you so much to Book of the Month for sponsoring today's video. Let's go ahead and add these guys up here. Now that I have the two new books added, let's go ahead and get into all the tidbits that we normally talk about in these videos before we actually choose my TBR, and we're gonna start out with May's new releases. First up, we have Our Perfect Storm by Carly Fortune coming out on May 5th. You guys, I am so pumped for this release. This is one of those books where I will be going to buy a physical copy of it the day that it comes out. That's how excited I am. Best friends have 1 week in paradise to fix their friendship or fall apart in this heart-stopping, utterly romantic new novel. I am so excited. I've had a weird relationship with Carly Fortune. Her first 2 releases, I didn't like the stories, but I loved the writing. She has such incredible, bingeable writing. And the releases over the last 2 years, I really enjoyed. The last year's release, One Golden Summer, I enjoyed so much I rated it 5 stars. And it was my favorite romance book of the year, and that is because in those 2 books I enjoyed the storyline and the writing was still incredible. So I'm hoping that I'm gonna enjoy this one just as much as I did her book last year. Also on May 5th, we have the 8th book in the Murderbot Diaries. This is called Platform Decay. This series is by Martha Wells, and they are very short sci-fi novels about this murderbot who doesn't really want to do his job. He just wants to watch a bunch of romance reality TV, and who can't relate to that? We also have Dungeon Crawler Carl 8 coming out this month on May 12th, A Parade of Horribles. My husband Luke is so excited for this one. I pre-ordered it for his birthday in April, and he's been talking about this release non-stop. This series is about a guy named Carl whose world ends up collapsing around him, and it basically turns into a video game, like a dungeon crawling video game. It's very fun, very action-packed. The next new release we have is Catherine Center's newest release, The Shippers. This is coming out on the 19th of May, and I guess it's about a destination wedding on a cruise ship. Also on May 19th, we have The Players Club by Rachel Mills. I'm really excited. I actually have an arc for this one, and I haven't read it yet because I want to read it closer to the release date, but I'm definitely going to be reading it in the month of May before it comes out. This is said to be a bold, big concept debut about a secret club of women who risk everything to ask, if you could be anyone, who would you dare to become? Then on May 26th, we have Annabelle Monaghan's new release, Dolly All the Time. This is a romance about a single mother who's offered a Pretty Woman type deal that's too good to refuse. I don't know, sounds enticing. I really like her writing too. Her books are very perfect for summer, just as Carly Fortune's books are. They're just very atmospheric and fun romances while also having the perfect amount of depth to them. And then finally, we have Matt Haig's newest release, The Midnight Train. This is in the Midnight world with the Midnight Library that came out a few years ago that was really popular on Book Talk. This one is coming out on the 26th of May as well, and it says, when your life flashes before your eyes, where would you stop? No one can change the past, but the Midnight Train can take you there. The chance to relive the moments that meant the most, to see what kind of person you really were. I feel like any book that's going to talk about about the past or the present or the future. Just the meaning of life in general is very interesting to me. It's kind of giving me About Time vibes. It's one of my favorite movies ever, so I'm stoked to read that after I read The Midnight Library eventually. Now it's time to talk all things Kindle TBR. There's going to be 4 books that I can choose for any prompt. First up, like I already said, we have The Players Club by Rachel Mills. And I'm also going to put the 8th and final M Lion in here. I'm officially going to be finishing the series next month, whether it's on the TBR or not. I talk about the series in every single video at this point, but I am so sad that it is going to be coming to an end soon. But hopefully we're going to see the 9th one coming out this year. I'm also going to add on here Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. This is a part of her Skyland series. I've never read anything by her, but since I finished the Windy City series, I'm wanting to start another interconnected romance series. And then the last one is another interconnected romance series that I actually started last year and haven't read any books in it since. And that 4th and final book on my Kindle TBR is the Boys of Tommen series by Chloe Walsh. So we're going to be putting Keeping 13 up here, so hopefully I can finish Johnny and Shannon's storyline. As for my audiobook TBR, it's going to be the same thing as my Kindle TBR. I'm going to choose 4 books that are eligible for any prompt, and it's pretty similar to last month's TBR. I have Lake Effect by Cynthia Dupree Sweeney. This is a family drama literary fiction story. And then I also have Little One by Olivia Munter, and this is about a girl who spends a lot of her formative years in a cult, and she's trying to figure out how to reinvent herself after the fact. I find books about cults so deeply intriguing, and I've been wanting to read this one for a while, so I'm really hopeful that this one gets picked this month. My 3rd option is going to be Semi Well Adjusted by Alison Stoner. This is her memoir. And then my 4th and final option is going to be Broken Country by Claire Leslie Hall. I've been wanting to read this forever, and I have my Libby Hold available currently. We'll see if it gets chosen, or I'm gonna have to suspend it again. Doing a little check-in on my 2026 TBR. Out of the 15 books, I have read 8 so far this year, and we're not even halfway through the year yet, and I've already read over half of them. So I do have 7 books left on this list to read sometime this year, and I think the ones that are most catching my eye are When the Crow's Away, because I just got it from the library and I want to read it in the spring because it's set during the spring. So because of that, I'll be reading that book whether it gets chosen for a prompt or not. And the 2 other books I have my eye on this list are Sorcery of Thorns. This is just a standalone fantasy that I want to read sometime this spring, and I also separated the first Percy Jackson from the rest of the series that is currently down here, and that is because I wouldn't mind starting Percy Jackson in the month of May. I've heard that the summertime is a really good time to read the series, so I figured maybe we could start in May and then just keep reading the series throughout the summer from there. I have never read Percy Jackson, never watched the movies, never watched the show, so I'm very excited to hopefully get into that fandom. And then we also need to do a little series tracker check-in. I'm currently in the middle of 6 series, and I've finished 3 so far this year, and I'm on my way to finishing 2 others hopefully by the end of May, which is actually crazy because if you watched me last year, I think I was reading like 17 series at once, which is kind of crazy pants of me. So the fact that the number of series that I'm reading is almost under 5 is like mind-blowing, honestly. As for books that I am just crossing my fingers that they get picked for this month, besides When the Crow's Away, I would love to read The X-Files. I feel like it would be a good book to start off summer reading with, and I think it's the last book that is technically classified as a summer romance that is currently on my TBR. So then this year, whenever the new summer romance releases come out, I don't have to feel bad about that one being on my TBR still. And depending on what else gets on the TBR for the month, I would love to continue the Ember and the Ashes series as well. Other than that, I am in the mood for literally anything, and right before we get into choosing from the TBR jar, we're gonna see what book you guys chose for me to read this month. Since the beginning of the year, for every single TBR video, I have been posting polls on Instagram asking you guys what book you think I should read this month. And each month I have been reading the one that gets the most votes. And this month, the book that you guys chose for me is The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. And I don't know if you guys are like in sync, or I don't know what's going on, if you guys have like telepathy or something, but every single month there is one book that just wins and blows all the other books out of the water. The Correspondent is following our main character Sybil, and she writes letters to make sense of her life. And I honestly don't really want to know too much more before I get into it, but people have said that if you enjoy M Lion, you would enjoy this book, and because of that, I feel like it's giving me spring vibes, so I'm really excited to read it. It's also on my spring TBR, so you guys chose a great book for your pick this month, and I cannot wait to read it. So the first book on the TBR for the month of May is The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. Now let's go ahead and actually start picking from the jar. Recently I've been trying to like look away while I choose it, so let's do that. See what we get. Instagram chooses. Okay. Wait, well, we kind of already do that. Maybe we'll do it in a different way. Maybe I will put 2 books up against each other and you guys can choose from both of those books. Also, sorry if you can hear like the washer or dryer running. I think our upstairs neighbors are just running it right now, which is so fun. I'm thinking maybe The X-Files, because I did talk about how I wanted to read this, and I've honestly been itching to read some romance recently, so this would be a great book to put on there. But what do we put it up against? Guys, I have like 0 idea what I want to pick. I don't know why this is so hard for me. Maybe let's do Deep Cuts by Holly Brickley. I've been wanting to read this for quite a while, and I just got this sent to me by Penguin Random House, which was really, really cool. And on the back it says it was a love story of a decade, or it should have been, and I know that it is very surrounded by music, which is really cool. So I think I'm gonna put these 2 books up against each other, and we're gonna see who wins after we choose our last prompt. So here's the poll that I just created, and it'll only be up for a select time. So if you get to vote, that's kind of cool and special. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to prompt 2. Unique character name. I can't remember what the main character of this is. I think it's like Bryn? Yeah, Bryn. That's not that unique. Joy's not that unique. What about the burning side? April and Leo? That's not very unique. I feel like Percy is kind of unique, but also like not that unique. You know, like there's other book characters even named Percy. I don't know. What about the Night Road? No. Kitty is kind of a unique name. Reeve? I've never heard the name Reeve. Kitty and Reeve? This could be a contender. No. 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 Why is this a lot harder than I thought it was gonna be? What about the Second Chance Cinema? Ellie and Drake? No. I mean, I could choose the second book in the Undercolor Carl series. I don't know if I really want to focus on that series though right now, because I really want to give that series its moment to shine, and I think I want to mainly listen to those on audio because the audiobooks are excellent. What I'm trying to say is just not the time to continue that series, especially because I'd rather focus on this series right here and starting Percy Jackson first before I do that. Why does everybody in these books have like the most basic names in the world? I'm saying that, and my name's Katie. Okay, after almost 0 deliberation, because this is kind of the only book that worked for it, I'm gonna be reading Kitty St. Clair's Last Dance. This is by Kate Robb. Kitty to me is a pretty unique name, as is Reeve. And it says, after inheriting a shuttered dance hall, a young woman dreams of its heyday, unlocking present-day longings. And if I'm remembering correctly, I believe there's some magical realism in here. It just seems like a fun, cute romance, and it'll probably be a good book to lead me into summer reading. So the 3rd book on my TBR for the month of May is gonna be Kitty St. Clair's Last Dance by Kate Robb. Let's go ahead and pick my next prompt. A cover that's my favorite color. Okay, so green. Do we got any green up here? Not really. Do we think Sorcery of Thorns counts? I feel like this is more green than blue, even though it's more of a greeny blue. When the Crows Away has quite a bit of green. Also, the 3rd book in the Ember and the Ashes series is green, so technically, if I wanted to like bend the rules a little bit, I could choose the 2nd book. You know, but since I have some other books that are green, I'm not gonna do that. Buckeye also does have a little bit of green to it as well. Both of these books are on my 2026 TBR and they're on my spring TBR, but I feel like if I had to pick one of these books to read in the spring over the other, I would pick When the Crows Away, just because it's set in the spring. Also, I can pick it and it's a library book and I'm gonna end up reading it anyway, so why not just add it to the TBR? I wouldn't be mad if Sorcery of Thorns gets picked for something else, but it is currently just not its time to be chosen. When the Crows Away is by Orly Wallace, and it's the book that follows In the Company of Witches that I read last fall, and then I tried to pick this one up, and I figured out it was set in the spring, so I figured I'd wait. It's technically a part of an Even Fall Witches B&B mystery series, I guess, but it's following the exact same characters from that book. I really liked it. They're just cozy mysteries. They don't take themselves too seriously, and I feel like this is kind of my speed when it comes to spook magooks mystery thrillers, because y'all know I'm a scaredy cat, okay? The little blurb before the big blurb on the back says, the ghost of a chocolatier believes he was murdered, and it's up to young witch Bryn Warren to use her magical gifts and old-fashioned sleuthing skills to find out how he really met his bitter end in this enchanting new Evenfall Witches B&B mystery. I was crossing my fingers for this one, and I got really lucky this month, so no complaints from me. The 4th book on my May TBR is going to be When the Crows Away by Orly Wallace. Let's pick my 5th one. Okay, what is this prompt gonna be? We've got first book you see on Goodreads. Okay, that's a little nerve-wracking. I think I'm gonna do first book I see on Goodreads on my TBR, because the whole goal of making these TBR videos is to actually read down my TBR, so that's what we're gonna do. Okay, I'm screen recording, it's loading. Insurgent, American Fantasy, Best Offer Wins. I'm not seeing anything yet. Nothing. Correspondence already on there. I might be here for a minute. The Burning Side, let's go. Okay, shout out to Anna. I did that in real time and everything, so I just got lucky. It makes sense though that this one got chosen since it is a newer release that's coming out. And a lot of people have advanced reader copies, but it's also pretty lucky because it's not even out yet. This guy looks a little sad. I'm gonna fix him. I am so excited to read The Burning Side by Sarah DeMoff. This is her second novel. Last year she came out with The Bright Years. That was incredibly well received. And like I already said earlier in this video, this one has been very well received as well by everybody who's gotten an ARC. There have been 5 stars coming out the wazoo. Everybody has been talking about this book, so I am very thankful to Book of the Month for having this book available for me to choose from this month, and I'm very lucky that it got on the TBR. This book seems like it's going to have quite a bit of drama. There's going to be a lot of self-reflection, and I love books like that. So The Burning Side by Sarah DeMoff is going to be the 5th book on my TBR this month. It is currently time to pick my 6th and final prompt, and looking at what I got down here, we have 2 literary fictions, we have a mystery, and we have a romance, and then we are also possibly adding a romance or a literary fiction again. So because of that, I wouldn't be mad at a possible fantasy because I feel like that's just gonna give me a little bit more variety throughout the month. So let's go ahead and pick the final prompt. Dual POV. Okay, I'm pretty happy about this one because I can pick A Torch Against the Night, which is the 2nd book in the Ember and the Ashes series by Sabaa Tahir. I've been saying a lot this year how I want to continue this series, and I feel like this is a perfect opportunity for me. And at this point, I don't even want to check any of the other ones because I just really want to read this one. I'm feeling very decisive, surprisingly enough. This is a YA fantasy series following our 2 main characters, Elias and Leia. Elias is a part of the Empire in their world, and Leia's family doesn't really believe in the Empire. She ends up becoming a slave to the Empire, and there's spying and undercover work going on. I thought it was really good, the first one, and I read the first one in December, so I'm really excited to continue the series, and I'm just excited. A Torch Against the Night by Sabaa Tahir is going to be the 6th book on my TBR, but technically not the 6th book because we're about to see which book you guys chose off of Instagram. From the first prompt that I chose, that was Instagram chooses, we put X-Files by Jessica Joyce and Deep Cuts by Holly Brickley up against each other. Let's see who won. Okay, wow, I was not expecting it to be this big of a landslide. The X-Files won 78% to 22% against Deep Cuts. So it looks like in the month of May, I'll be reading the X-Files by Jessica Joyce. I am a little nervous to read this one. I read her debut last year, earlier in the year, and I liked the storyline. I thought we were going interesting places. I just didn't love the writing. It felt very disconnected and choppy to me, like it just didn't click with me personally. So I am a little bit nervous to see what I think of her writing in this book, but also it was her debut, and I'm willing to give authors multiple chances because I know so many people who absolutely love and adore this book. It's a summer romance. It says estranged exes must stick close together to save their best friend's wedding after a string of disasters in this swoony and steamy second chance romance. I also love a second chance romance. And I don't know, I feel like because summer's coming up, I'm just in more of a romance mood recently, and this is gonna kickstart it all, being my first summer romance of the year. So the final book on my TBR for the month of May is going to be The X-Files by Jessica Joyce. Let's go ahead and do a TBR recap. The first book on my TBR for the month of May chosen by you guys is The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. The next book also chosen by you guys via Instagram poll this time is The X-Files by Jessica Joyce. Then I had to choose a book with a unique character name. I chose Kitty St. Clair's Last Dance by Kate Robb. After that, I had to find a cover that was my favorite color, and I chose When the Crows Away by Orly Wallace because it's got a bit of green in it. Next, I had to choose the first book off of my TBR that I found on Goodreads, and that book was The Burning Side by Sarah DeMoff. And finally, I had to pick a book with dual POV, and I chose the 2nd book in the Ember and the Ashes series by Sabaa Tahir, A Torch Against the Night. And here are all the books that I'm hoping to read in the month of May. I'm very excited for this TBR. I feel like we have a good balance, especially going into the summer months where I want to read more romance and literary fiction. Also, looking at it now, why does this TBR's color scheme fit so well together? I feel like that happens more often than not, weirdly enough. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you watched until this far in the video, comment down below a bird emoji for When the Crows Away so I know who the real ones are who watched until the very end. Thank you so much once again to Book of the Month for sponsoring today's video. Don't forget that you can get your first hardback for only $5 using the code FLORAL with the link that's going to be in the description of this video. And I think that's going to be it from me today. Let me know what is on your May TBR down below. I love you guys so much. Hope you're all having an amazing day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys. Do you need in here? Hi. Hello. Melly's entered the chat. She's so cute. Peace.